Hey everybody, it's Nicholas Rogers with the Big Timber coming back at you today with another fun and exciting video where I'm going to ask you, do you think if you put a CZ457 into an MDT field stock, are you going to be able to tap into hidden potential and start shooting groups like this? Short answer, yes. That's all you wanted to know? Yes, you can. Now, for those of you that want to learn how, you're gonna have to stick around for the rest of the video. So, let's jump right into this. So thanks for sticking around for the rest of the video. To understand how to get your CZ457 to shoot optimally with your MDT field stock and give you the smallest group sizes possible, you're gonna need to understand how these three things work together. And without all three of these, you won't be getting those 0.4 MOA groups or smaller, as I just showed you. Now, the first thing to talk about is going to be torque. What is torque? Well, torque is torquing your action screws. What? That sounds a little torquing your action screws. Yeah, okay. Anyways, torquing your action screws to the proper torque. We're gonna cover that first. The next thing we'll cover is pills. And no, we're not talking about Marshall Mathers in the late 90s popping pills. We're talking about the ammunition that you choose plays a very crucial role in how small your group sizes will be. And then most importantly, you, which we will cover soon. So let's go to torque. So when you open the box to your new MDT field stock, you're gonna notice that it comes with the most simplistic of directions for installation. And to be honest, you can throw these away. Now, why would I say that? Well, because your CZ457 action needs a much lighter hand when it comes to the torque specs than what's recommended with the directions in the box. Now, what exactly should you be torquing your action screws to with your CZ457 and MDT field stock? I wish there was a simple answer for that, but from my research, it's gonna end up being somewhere in between 20 inch-pounds up to 35 inch-pounds, and it's up to you to find out where that is. Now, how can you do that? Well, let me share with you what I did yesterday at the range to figure out what my CZ457 action liked with this MDT field stock. So behind me, I've got 4 different targets. And yesterday I went to the range with my CZ457 MDT field stock, 2 different types of ammunition, one that I know the rifle loves, and one that it shoots but doesn't get the greatest groups with, and a torque wrench. Now, it's very easy for you to find out what your action screws should be torqued to, and I'll explain to you how. Since 20 is on the low end for inch-pounds, I started there with the action screws, and I shot 2 groups with the ammo that I knew the rifle likes, and then 2 groups with the ammo that it doesn't really care for, right? And then I increased by 5 inch-pounds to 25 inch-pounds, shot 2 more, and 2 more, and then moved to 30, then to 35. It really started to tighten up for both sets of ammunition once I got to the 30 and the 35 inch-pounds. And I even decided, you know what, I'm gonna take it all the way up to 40 inch-pounds. And when I did that, the groups actually started to open up. Now, I realized, okay, at 30 and 35, both set of groups for both different types of ammo started to tighten up, so maybe there's a sweet spot. Turns out there was 33 inch-pounds for my CZ457 and MDT field stock. Ended up producing a 0.4 MOA group with the RWS rifle match, as well as a 0.8 MOA group with the RWS rifle match, and also gave me the tightest groups with the LAX ammunition out of all the torque specs that I had tried previously. So I was very surprised to learn how much the torque on the action screws actually affect the group size of the bullets from my CZ457 mounted in this MDT field stock. Now, the question for this video is, can the MDT field stock improve the accuracy of your CZ457? Yes, it can. It can give you all the keys to success needed to make this rifle action and barrel shoot as effectively as possible, but you have to work with it. If you just throw your action into the MDT field stock and start cranking on it with an Allen wrench by hand, not knowing what your torque specs are, you're never truly going to achieve these tiny little groups like I was able to when I started to mess around with the torque specs on those action screws. So just be aware of that. You need to figure out what your particular action likes with this field stock when it comes to those action screws and the torque. Now, next up is pills. And boy, this is a big one, because you already saw on these targets that every single one of these 4 targets that are up behind me, the rifle liked the RWS rifle match so much more than the LAX. Now, I'm kind of lucky because there's been a lot of content creators that have reached out to me saying, how did you get your CZ457 to shoot this rifle match so well? I don't know if I just got lucky with my action, or maybe I just got a good lot of ammunition, but this rifle loves this RWS rifle match in that particular lot. I know that. It's a fact. And this week I was able to get 2 sub-half MOA groups with this 457 and MDT field stock, which for me is quite impressive. Now, this LAX bulk ammunition, it shoots. I didn't have any sort of malfunctions. There was no failure to fires. However, this is supposed to be subsonic ammunition. And while I was at the range, I was using my Chaos Gear Supply Hydra, which is a suppressor, and I noticed there would be subsonic rounds the majority of times, but sometimes I got supersonic sounds. I could actually hear the bullet leaving the end of the barrel, breaking the speed of sound and creating that supersonic crack. Which, if I'm getting supersonic and subsonic rounds, that is definitely going to affect the performance, which is showing up here on the targets very obviously. So I would say, get the correct torque for your action screws. But if you go to your local gun shop and you pick up some LAX bulk ammunition, or maybe some CCI bulk or Federal bulk, and you're not getting these super tiny groups, it might not be you, it might not be your rifle, it could just be the ammunition. Now, you might have to do some digging to find out, what does my CZ457 action and barrel like as far as the pills go, but once you figure it out, that's when you're gonna start getting these sub-MOA groups, and maybe even some sub-half MOA groups. Now, that's all I can tell you about the ammunition, but you just need to know that. Now, the last thing is you, okay? The triangle of truth. The last point on the triangle is you. Even if you have the perfect torque specs for your action screws, even if you find the perfect ammunition, the limiting factor is you as the shooter. Some people can shoot very, very well. I consider myself to be a pretty decent shot. However, there are other YouTube content creators, such as Josh with The Pursuit of Accuracy, that is a national 22 long rifle competitor that wins, and he can shoot circles around me. That is a limitation that I am willing to accept, because he puts a lot more effort into training and figuring out how to build his rifle for him to be the most efficient shooter, and also figuring out what type of ammunition works best with his setup. And man, he trains every single day. I don't. I'm at the range maybe 1, 2, 3 times a week, shooting a whole different collection of types of ammunition and firearms, and not just staying with one rifle, one type of ammo, and really making myself get better. So Don't be upset if you figure out the correct torque, you figure out the best ammunition, but you're not able to get sub half MOA groups. You will one day. You just have to practice. So I hope this answers your question about, can the MDT field stock improve the accuracy of a CZ457? Yes, it can. But you have to do some work in order to make this the most optimal setup that you can have. So until next time, everybody, peace. Hey, I'm Nicholas Rogers with the Big Timber Lodge. No, I'm not a politician, but because of my collared shirt and rolled up sleeves, you know I mean business, and I'm here to do some work.